So welcome to MyGuy's review of Disney and Pixar's latest animated film, The Good Dinosaur. Hit me up with your comments below, your likes, sharing is caring as always, as mentioned in Monsters Inc. And of course, hit me up with the big S button, subscribe for more. So The Good Dinosaur finally arrived in cinemas. It's the 2015 in November time, I think, Christmas time, just before Christmas release in the UK, stuff like that. So basically it follows the story of a good dinosaur, and what would happen if the dinosaurs were never extinct. As always, it's a Pixar animation brand, so what we're expecting is something amazing. Of course, we have Inside Out, which came out in the summer, which is one of the most original movies in Hollywood to hit the US top 10 box office, worldwide box office, and the only original film in the top 10, really. Everything else is either adaptation, prequels, sequels, franchisee kind of movies, continuation. So Inside Out was the biggest movie for an original movie last 2015. So follow that up, you had Pixar Animation Studios dropping a second film, and this was The Good Dinosaur. Now, The Good Dinosaur, before we actually go into get into the main kind of review, I think it's something that's been working on for years. In 2009 they started working with a release date of 2013. They had some problems with the film, and it then got pushed back, and it was then referred to as the Untitled Pixar movie about dinosaurs, and later got retitled to The Good Dinosaur. John Lester eventually gave his details as to what it was. In the meantime, as the film kept shifting dates, Pixar Animation Studios had already invested a ton of money into the film, so they had to let people go because the film just story wasn't good enough to be released yet, and therefore kind of got delayed a little more than it should have done. Finally, we get to see it in 2015, but it also means there are two Pixar Animation Studios films out in 2015. One, which is Inside Out, which is in terms of what the Pixar brand it is and everything to do with Pixar, that is spot on. It's a huge film. It's a big hit film. It's got everyone thinking, oh wow, these guys are back on it. Since 2009 up, there's only been a few films that come out for Pixar Animation Studios, mainly sequels. People kind of thinking, Pixar lost the kind of magic touch they once had, but Inside Out proved that they always had it and never will lose it. Then comes across The Good Dinosaur, which is very much the opposite to Inside Out. It is a standard movie. It's not as good as Inside Out. Let's just start with that. So this is basically the story. It's almost like having an alternative timeline whereby a meteorite does not hit Earth and it safely passes over Earth 65 million years ago. Therefore, our good dinosaur Henry would survive, and therefore the film would rotate around that, and we would have Cave Boy interacting with our dinosaur. What happens there is we have a good film, not a Pixar great film, a good film. Because of the brand, I'm a little bit disappointed with this film and expected a lot more from it. It's still funny, it's still fresh, but you can get the idea that the story has been rewritten so many times that maybe it's not as good as it could have been. It doesn't feel rushed so much so, but it just isn't as good as the others. And I believe with the kind of the money that Pixar Animation Studios push into the budget, about 200 million per film, something along those lines, this film needs to make about 500 million to break even. So this will be Pixar's first ever loss on a motion picture. Currently, I believe the worldwide gross is sitting at just over 200 million. Normally what happens is you have 200 million, which is the budget, you then have the marketing cost, and you have all of the kind of the promos and everything else that goes with a Pixar film. This movie, I believe, will kind of be the first one to lose money for a Pixar brand. It opened up against Hunger Games in America, which isn't a big problem, because when you think Inside Out opened up against Jurassic World in its second week and still became the highest grossing opening film for a Pixar Animation Studios film ever, never to hit number 2. But still, this film may be the lowest grossing Pixar film since, I think, Bug's Life. It's good. It's a good film. It delivers everything we want it to be. It's beautifully animated as always. Even with cars, as bad as the films were, they looked great. They were stunning cars, but just as you'd expect when you're getting your car fixed underneath the bonnet, it's rusty and it's not that good. But Good Dinosaur, as always, looks beautiful. The animation is stunning. The story is an average story. Doesn't quite live up to the Pixar brand and what we want it to do. But it's still a charming, family-friendly film, more oriented for the younger audience, and doesn't have as much as previous films had for slightly older kids and, of course, the parents. This kind of goes away from that a little bit, and therefore, kind of doesn't live up to the hype, in my opinion, the brand brings. Not the hype the film brought, purely the brand, the Pixar brand. But still, it's generally received fairly well, I believe. You got good kind of kids are loving the film. It's not going to be the biggest film as always, but it is one that has been around for ages. This isn't anything groundbreaking. This isn't going to be like Up. It's not going to be like Inside Out. It's not going to be like the very first Toy Story film. This isn't anything groundbreaking. This is, for the first time, a Pixar film that's come out which could have been done by DreamWorks Animation Studios. It's nothing that kind of distinguishes it from any other film that's out there. It doesn't bring anything really new, but it's still a good film. It's it's great for little kids. It's a nice family-oriented film. But purely because of, it's not a bad film. Let's just say that. It's not a bad film. It's a good film. As the name says, it's a good dinosaur. It's a good dinosaur film. It's better than some dinosaur films that have come out over the previous years. But it's just not the best Pixar movie. And it kind of shows with kind of like the box office of the movie, and also kind of like the marketing push that has been plugged into the film. You feel as though there hasn't been a lot, and the film is just kind of dumped out there. And it's because I think even Pixar felt a little underwhelmed with the film. But you had such a big hit in the summer, so you kind of like, have you kind of exhausted all of your goodwill in the previous film, and it didn't really run over into this one. Normally a Pixar film always opens really, really high, and it sits around for ages and everyone loves it. This one is good, but it's more kind of kiddie oriented film. So what would happen if a meteorite hit? Basically, if it missed, we'd have dinosaurs, and therefore the film would exist, and for millions of years there'll be various dinosaurs who are kind of like friends, kind of like have the day-to-day kind of living. And also you have cave children, you'll have other humans around, but you have these dinosaurs who are now reluctant to kill as well. And because, bit like in Finding Nemo, where we have the sharks who are veggies, this kind of has a little kind of twist on that as well. And again, it's not a bad film. It does kind of it does have some reasonable themes, and it's good, as the title suggests, A Good Dinosaur. It's worth watching purely because it's a Pixar brand. There are some good laugh out moments. You kind of like follow Arlo, I think it is, the dinosaur, and as he's traveling through kind of like the mysterious landscapes, and obviously he shouldn't be around because the meteor should have hit, but that's the whole point of the film. We've got this alternative timeline because of a mishap in what may have happened and wiped out the dinosaurs. So it's really good, and it is still a fun film. It's worth watching. I wouldn't say go watch it in the cinema because pretty much it's going to be gone. Buy it on DVD. It's going to be one of those films you watch again and you'll be like, you know what, it's not as bad as I thought it was, and it's worth a watch. It's It's not a terrible film, but it's just the brand would expect more. So my review, I'll give it, if I was giving a rating, this is just a 7. It's better than Bug's Life, better than Cars 1 and 2, but that's not saying a lot considering the brand has so many great films like Finding Nemo. You've got Monsters Incorporated, you've got the Toy Story franchise, you've got Up, you've got Inside Out. They've got so many great films. So this is still a good, strong film, but for the brand, I expected more. Tell me what you guys think. Hit me up with your comments, your likes, and click the big S button to subscribe for more. I'm out.